Is something called the penile plethysmograph the answer to early treatment for sex offenders? It's a device worn around the penis that's supposed to measure arousal to deviant sexual images in videos, slides, or audio tapes. But even supporters of the plethysmograph admit its readings are often completely wrong.
We do, as you said, get what we call false positives. There are some normal males who do show arousal to deviant sexual stimuli. And we also can get false negatives. There are people who have acknowledged that they have committed sexual offenses, but when you put them in the lab, they don't show very much arousal.
Critics say that's a fundamental problem. The plethysmograph belongs in the lab in a meticulously controlled setting, and not, they say, in a place like the Sexual Behavior Clinic here in Washington Heights, where hundreds of adolescent boys, many of them minor first-time offenders, have been tested and treated with the device. The past president of the American Psychiatric Association.
For most teenagers, the idea of having the base of your genitals surrounded by something with wires attached and seeing some sexual photographs and whatnot is a setup for long-term castration fears and fantasies.
The prospect of long-term harm and big-time lawsuits has created a controversy that's hopscotching across the country over the device with the funny-sounding name. Earlier this year, the Bangor, Maine Police Department was ordered to pay nearly $1 million to an officer facing a dubious charge of child molestation when the department said he might be rehired if he took and passed the plethysmograph test. In Texas, the device was declared a medical instrument subject to strict regulation after reports of its use in conjunction with ammonia and electric shock aversion therapy. And then there's Arizona, where a sex therapist named Bob Emmerich ran a clinic on the grounds of Phoenix Memorial Hospital that used the plethysmograph for years until a barrage of headlines last summer. The initial stories about the device with the strange-sounding name were disturbing, but when it was reported that the device was being used on boys as young as 10 years old, the story became a scandal, and Phoenix Memorial quickly shut the clinic down.
My personal opinion that I came down with after it was over was that the use of the plethysmograph wasn't justified, that it was highly personally intrusive, and certainly wasn't something that state government should be involved in.
Well, the state and the city of New York are involved in it, the state providing money for the Sexual Behavior Clinic, and the city probation department providing subjects, adolescent sex offenders, by the score.
We refer probably most of our juvenile sex offenders, and that's children that are 18 and under who have committed a sexual offense, to the Sexual Behavior Clinic. The research right now is showing that it's relatively effective.
No, it's not, says the teenager we call William, whose sex crime at age 14 was that he and an 11-year-old sister with whom he'd been reunited after many years apart had fondled each other. William was tested with the device while listening to sex tapes that shocked him.
The wrong kid hears this stuff and he's going to go out and blow his brains out.
Dr. Meg Kaplan is the director of the Sexual Behavior Clinic in Washington Heights. She told us that all treatment at the clinic is voluntary and that the treatment and the use of the plethysmograph fall well within the boundaries of accepted clinical practice. But in our concluding report tomorrow, you will hear more from William, who says that his consent was hardly voluntary and his plethysmograph test hardly routine. He's suing the clinic for $10 million. Dana? Ernie?
Mike, where did this device come from?
The anecdotal history is that it was developed decades ago by the Czechoslovakian army as a way of identifying recruits, draftees who were falsely claiming to be homosexuals.
Mike, you concentrated on the device for males. There's also one for females, you said.
There has been one developed by an outfit called Farrell Instruments in Grand Island, Nebraska. We don't know how widely it's used, but we've seen some of the literature on it.
Okay, more tomorrow night.
11 o'clock.
Thanks, Mike. Still ahead tonight.